Hey, so I just came up the hill. I thought my corner store was open, but no such luck. This is the street professor, Skookum1, in the parking lot of the Walmart in Haney, Maple Ridge, in the unsurrendered territories, Kwantlen Nation territory of the Stalo Nation, or Stalo Tribal Council, I'm not sure which, but of the Stalo, which means the Stalo is the proper name for the Fraser River in the Halkamilam, which is the ancient language of the lower mainland and the southern Gulf Islands. Yeah, there's something really curious that's really bothering me now, because I just had it confirmed that the voting age for the referendum, and this is very important, is 18 and not 19. So I only just the other night started telling people it was 18 once Caitlin Harris in Victoria told me that. And now I just had it confirmed by my old landlord Alex Pope, and they're of course United Church, and their son is 18. And my best friend here is 18. I told him. So I was worried it was wrong, but no, it is right. But get this. On the 640 bus, we were somewhere past Annydale, coming back from the ferry to Scott Road. And this older Sikh lady, she was sitting next to me on the front side seat, and I got talking to her my usual shtick, and she said her daughter, who's 18, had called Elections BC and being told by Elections BC, now I want to know by who, that she couldn't vote until next year. All right, so somebody needs to get fired is what I'm thinking. Right, and this needs to be a court issue. So I told that lady to go to her MLA, which of course in Surrey they're all Sikhs and a lot of them are NDP, as the place is, you know. And they're good politicians, but this is an outrage. So I've been spreading the word to all the 18-year-olds, as I just did to another older couple who remembered solidarity and everything, understood clearly, and they're shocked just as I am by this thing about the mail-out not being fair and discriminating against the people who most needed to vote for it. So I hope my American friends who have tagged and forwarded this to, and British, or the writers for The Guardian, who are actually Canadian, Heather Malik and Martin, I'm sorry I've gotten your name wrong, Martin Lukács. I'm not sure the CS pronunciation in Hungarian anymore, Lukács, I think. And anybody else I can think of, Ian Young at the South China Morning Post I've tagged, and all the great American political comedy shows, which at least one of them is a great British comedy comedian. Hey John, hello everybody. You know, this is absurdity up here. You have lots of fun making fun of Victoria, okay? You should come up here. Anyway, so here I am going talking to people that I haven't met yet, but this is a big issue, world, okay? Voter suppression in British Columbia is a lot more complicated than it first seemed to me. You know, now I know that it was elaborately deliberate, and also the fact that the kids, there's no campus voting stations. And one young guy, lawyer student, he equivocated with, "No, the university has to approve it." Yeah, like a university senate shouldn't approve democracy on campus. Give me a break, you know. So anyways, there's a lot of contradictory and contrarian views on the island, and a lot of negative energy there. I did meet a lot of good, awake people, young and immigrant, the occasional street person or old hippie like me or old, but I had some strange behavior from the other side. And I might as well talk about the weird Russian lady on the ferry too. So I had the one a few weeks ago at the bus loop here in Haney, you know, watched me for a while, and then when she chimed in, she goes, "I vote for the best system in the world, FPTP," and she marched it off with her finger in the air, right, won't talk to me. So anyways, I'm on the ferry somewhere, I guess it was Active Pass, or no, approaching Active Pass, maybe somewhere with Salt Spring or Prevost on the left. And there was this blonde woman in sort of a turban type toque and scarf. I could remember the colors if I thought about it, you know, my eidetics, you know. And the way she smiled, and she didn't seem to be from here. So, you know, I'm all very friendly. I've been speaking to everybody, and I always say, "Oh, hi, you know, are you from here?" Because if she's a tourist, you know, "Are you a tourist?" Or, you know, because I can tell you the history of the place. She says, no, I'm from here, but she kind of waved me off and clearly didn't want to talk to me. Especially once I found out that I was learning Russian and spoke a bit. She just got away from me. She didn't want to talk. So it was odd, you know what I'm saying? So I've also got this issue with, you know, Chris Fadden talking about ministers out in the West being owned. I think he meant also first ministers being owned by foreign countries like Campbell, not just Clark, right? Others, Alberta, obviously, owned by foreign countries and not necessarily the Americans. And we had Bill Bennett, not the premier, but member for Kootenay East, known as the Minister for China. And, you know, it just so happens that I checked with Colin Hansen that, yeah, he's like me. He's of Norwegian descent, as you can see, right? Yeah, well, then how is it that he was the minister responsible for the Norwegian fish farm companies? I don't say there's relations or that he'd done anything, and I'm sorry, Colin, if there's any imputation that there was. But appearances, as you know, in politics are everything, right? And so the appearances of all this are not very pretty. So I've asked people like Rachel Maddow, you know, to have a look, you know, and her investigative team and the other investigative resources of the American free press, the truly free press, and the free web on down there and wherever else in the world I can find it and seek help from. But it's really bothering me now but I'm hoping that the young kids, they're pissed off that they're young kids, you think about it. They were pissed off that they were told about something that they didn't know was about their future, or they didn't even were informed that it was going on. How's an 18-year-old kid supposed to know to call elections BC that he can vote for the first time in his life when he thinks the election age, the voting age is 19? All right, so how many people turned 18 since the election? And 19. How many people became new citizens since the election? How many people went on the social roll since the election? All of those people could be mailed. I think it was my friend who's Peter on the ferry. I won't identify your position, bro. But he was the one who held up his phone and saying it could all be done by the phone, he said. And so could the vote. You see, everybody could be reached. And why did the NDP not want to do that, I wonder? You know, well, you take one look at what their favorite lobbyist is going, talking about Nazis when they're really talking about, he's lobbied for years, and not just lobbied, but written hate articles and false material about the Greens. Okay, well, I'm helped. I found that party, and I'm too political to be part of them. And I wish they were as fiery like me. But Jesse Ventura, my big brother, right, and other people like you in the States, I know you hear my call, right? This is a voice of liberation talking. This is a voice of decolonization. This is a voice that needs global support because we're not getting any from the BC media. And Elections BC is telling people who are qualified for the vote that they can't vote till next year. Oh yeah, okay, somebody tell me that I'm getting alarmed and I'm being an extremist. I'm not the extremist. So I'm Skookum1, the street professor. I'm tired. I just came up the hill to get some milk and wound up with some young guy said, I voted for the other thing. I said, it doesn't matter who you voted for. What you want in the future, it's what your kids have in the way of a democratic future. His wife was listening to me. He had 3 small kids. You want free education or don't you? Because you're not going to get it by letting the FPT system cheat you and your kids all over again like they did me and my generation and the generations before. Okay, and the natives, and everybody else, and people like the Doukhobors. You guys have a nice night, and don't forget if you're 18, you should go vote because you weren't told about the ballot. So what does that tell you? Go vote because of the system that you weren't told about you should vote for. You understand? You see how simple the logic is, but in this day and age, people don't want to stop and listen. If it's on 10 bites or sound hook or quick bite, Joey Keithley, please, Joey Shithead, please, man. I need your reach in the vote, like I asked Neil Young to help me with the older vote, right? And, you know, our generation, right? And all of us, right? And all us Canadian, all your Canadian artists and writers out there, I can't remember her name, you know? Handmaiden of the Tale. Margaret Atwood, you hear what I'm saying? I know you do. All right, we need all of you. We need all Canadians to hear this, and also to start a popular movement to force the Prime Minister into proportional representation, because it's the only way we're going to end colonialism here. It's the only way. Skookum1. It's Skookum1. Proud of what he's scanned, but scared shitless by the consequences. But I'm glad I'm doing what I'm doing, and I just had another round, and all I was doing was want to buy some milk. So I'm going to go buy my milk. You guys have a nice night, happy Christmas, and a merrier New Year, a merrier Democratic Christmas. I got to sign off. So Big Skookum Street Professor signing off from Haney Place, outside the Walmart, about to buy his milk.